Hey Gameheads, Happy New Year. Back in 2024, I talked about a lot of offline games. Some were great, some not so much, and a few were just meh. So to wrap up 2024 and invite the new year, I decided to rank all the offline games I could find. A quick heads up, I'll be speed blitzing through these games, so if I don't go into much detail, don't worry, you'll find full breakdowns of many of these games right here on the channel. And without further ado, let's dive right in. January came slamming hard with a variety of games, with a lot notably coming from Crunchyroll. They were Ponpu, a beautiful puzzle roguelike where you take on the almighty dog god itself, clearly inspired by the classic puzzle action game Bomberman, but still keeping things fresh with sleek hand-drawn graphics and an interesting premise, landing comfortably above the average score of B. Still on Crunchyroll, Yuppie Psycho also graced our presence. It looks like a certain company is trying their best to mimic Netflix. Anyway, the interesting pixel-style detective mystery that follows a down-and-out-of-luck salaryman that manages to land a job in one of the biggest companies in the world, only to realize that his actual job is to hunt a witch. One for detective fans and deserving to be right there at B tier. Ugly is an enigmatic puzzle adventure tale dealing with very sensitive topics like self-loathing and depression of a troubled nobleman, solving puzzles by creating a mirror reflection that you can swap places with. The story premise and the game digs deep into the human psyche, an incredible game that should enjoy a well-deserved spot at A tier. Cask is a generic nation-building strategy adventure title, and a good one at that. You build an empire by constructing infrastructure, building castles, harvesting resources, and training your military. When the time is right, you conquer other territories. Yes, it's pretty generic, but for someone like me that can't get enough of these sort of games, it's still good enough to be in the C tier. And with that, we move on to February. And oh boy, February did not hold back, bringing us some incredible titles, most of them being simulators, like Yes Your Grace, the Reality Life Kingdom Management sim title from Noodle Cake that bestows you the ultimate title, a king, making important decisions for your empire, resolving issues between subjects, fighting off a war, and being a father at the end of the day. It's not an easy job, but the game finds a way to make it quite fun, so it's going in the B spot. Stardew Valley did a nasty thing to our psychology in ranking town life simulation. So when Potion Planet came out, it had a lot of shoes to fill. The game where you play as a doctor sent to a skeptical small shut-off town, curing ailments with advanced medicine and potions while making relations with the hostile townfolk, is a great looking game, but it's still going to be in the A spot. What would you do if you're an old with amnesia? Well, that's the setting of Wytchwood. Woken by a talking goat, an old witch embarks on a quest using her enormous knowledge of hexes and potions to try and restore her memories and uncover the truth of a sleeping girl in her basement. So it's going to sit comfortably at the B spot, for it could have been better if not for some technical glitches. Crunchyroll also had an impact in February with the release of Thunderray, the classic style arcade boxing game. It had cool graphics and interesting storyline, but none of which really touched my attention. But for the art style, the visual presentation and overall review by customer base and waiting on the Play Store, I would have to place it at C spot. Brok the Investigator, a former boxathon journalist, stricken with grief after the loss of his wife and living in the cyberpunky futuristic slums of the city. A recent case arrived that may very well unravel the mystery of their existence. Brok has a lot going for it, from the cool story, free 2-hour demo, accessibility, local co-op, and good reviews, solidifying a spot along the big boys at the A tier. I have always been uninterested in turn-based RPGs, with only a few games changing that perspective, and even more so turned off by it if it was anime themed. Cause anime equals gacha, online content, yada yada. So I was quite surprised when astris checked all the boxes and still managed to be offline, with a rich story, gorgeous graphics, and a twist on the turn-based mechanic that actually made it tolerable for yours truly, so it's obviously going to sit at the Aecleum at the fabled S tier. Hades had proven itself to be a must-play roguelike. The tale that followed the son of Hades on a quest to escape the confines of hell is a spectacular premise. Blessed with gorgeous graphics and engaging gameplay, it deserves a pretty high spot on the tier list. Possibly S tier is what I would have given it if it weren't only iOS. So out of sheer pettiness, I'm going to give it an A++, and it's still getting that A spot. March also came packing with a few interesting titles like Wild Frost, a gorgeous roguelike deck builder where you are the last bastion fighting against the frost, in a world where the sun just gave up. For the longest time I thought this game was online, so I didn't pay much attention to it, but the reviews and reception have been nothing but welcoming, with a lot of 9 out of 10s out there. So in the same light, I will give it A for amazing. Strange Horticulture is a beautiful, mysterious shopkeeper simulator where you play as a horticulturist in a town where the flowers have unique magical properties. So each order for a flower gives an insight into the person's wishes. It's a little good entry from Plugin Digital, so it's going to be placed with the big boys at the A tier. Art of Rally is a simple game. Race iconic cars from the 60s on challenging stages through stylized environments inspired by real-world locations. Although the graphics are amazing, carrying a sleek, polished, poly look, I still find its simplistic nature repetitive, so I'm placing it as C tier for can't get into it. Warbits Studio seems to really love one versus all roguelikes, leading to another installment in their growing list, Lost Potato, a minimalist top-down roguelike where you help a young potato find its way out of a jungle filled with man-eating tribes. And oh, you can't damage enemies directly. You have to either push them into spikes or reflect enemy bullets. The premise and gameplay is quite fun, and it's getting a C from me because of the PTSD the studio has put me through. But that's a story for another day. April was a bit of a dry spell for offline games, with only 2 releases that I could find, one of them being Slash Quest, a colorful arcade adventure game by Noodle Cake where you play as a young child that stumbles across the queen's magical talking sword that can grow long. Hey, that's not what I meant, you pervert. The mechanics of the game is that you can only rotate the sword in a 360-degree angle. It's a cute little title that isn't too serious but offers a good time, so it's on the B tier. 2. Loop Hero by Playdigious, a really confusing roguelike RPG with mechanics that is a bit difficult to explain, in a world where a lich has plunged its inhabitants into a never-ending chaos by trapping them in an endless loop. Wielding an expanding deck of mystical cards, our brave hero is tasked with stopping him. The game has always thrown me for a loop. See what I did there? So I didn't bother to check it out, but it seems to be doing fine with good reception on all platforms, so let's carefully place it at the A spot. The month of May might as well be good because it was shining. It brought us Hyperlight Drifter, the amazing RPG where you play as a drifter suffering from an incurable disease eating away at his mortality, tasked with uncovering 4 totems across 4 distinct post-apocalyptic locations in a race against death, an S tier without remorse. Following that is Warbits Plus, a charming tactical turn-based strategy with local co-op, so it definitely has something going for it, earning it C tier at least. Netflix really cooked this year, and one of the games they had going for them was the anniversary port of their apparently classic 2008 platformer by the name Braid, a supposedly huge game where you travel through the series of interconnected worlds where time behaves strangely, searching for an elusive princess by bending time to solve subtle puzzles. So yeah, although I haven't heard about this before the video, the review led me to believe it deserves an S tier spot. The second entry that Netflix delivered splendidly is Katana 0, and is simply an S tier game. The side-scrolling action game where you play as a time-controlling assassin working for a shady company in the aftermath of a world-changing war. Its neon vibe, immaculate story, use of music, and incredible fun gameplay places it rightfully at the maximum score the channel can give. The third game by Netflix was Sonic Mania Plus, which I don't know too much about cause apparently my phone can't handle it. But it seems to be a retro Sonic game with all the interesting parts that come with the franchise, and that alone earns it the A spot. Still on Netflix, Paper Trail is another amazing entry, the calm brain teasing puzzle using an interesting mechanic that allows you to fold the world like a piece of paper to solve puzzles and explore a beautifully rendered watercolor style world. Another game that Netflix ported that managed to creep its way to the S tier due to the remarkable positivity around its rating. Pledicious wasn't exactly exempted from the craze, bringing Skul the Hero Slayer, quite the interesting roguelike RPG where you play as an undead skeleton trying to revive his empire with his unique ability to swap skulls. It's fresh, it's nice, it's fun, good enough to land it at the A tier. Puzzle Cup is a love letter to fans of arcade-style soccer, you know, those ones we played when things were a bit much simpler. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it does scratch that arcade soccer itch, although it's just fun enough to land it at the B spot. Devil War, Doom shooting game, is exactly what you would expect from the title, an unapologetic rip-off of the Doom series. It's still enjoyable but lacks soul, earning it the first D spot on today's list. June also brought its games, mostly on the iOS department, with Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed, both incredible ports of the high AAA title, showing the processing power of the latest A17 Bionic chip. The game on their own are S-tier materials, but their limited distribution, even among the iOS sphere, brings them to the A tier. Luna the Shadow Dust is a fully hand-drawn point-and-click puzzle adventure that just looks beautiful, with hand-drawn frame-by-frame character animation that tells a story about the magical journey of a young boy and his companion as they solve puzzles and trace back memories of old. If this was a movie ranking, this type of game would be called Oscar bait, because the amount of care and beauty it exudes, perfectly landing it at the A tier. Space Gladiator is a fun roguelite platformer built by Warbits Studio, where you have to escape a space pit. It reminds me of another roguelike, but I just can't seem to remember the name. Anyway, it's good enough to land it at a C. Little Boy Whisper Tale is an interesting name to give another blatant ripoff. Time it goes for the throat of no other than Cuphead, but hey, it at least looks playable and it's free, I guess. But as for the ranking, I'll definitely give it a D. White Flame is an original indie title, an open world action RPG that looks promising. You can definitely see the love and care that flows through the project, and it may not be the prettiest, but the reviews and my personal interest earns it an A. July kept things hot with interesting stuff like Arranger, a puzzle adventure game from Netflix where an outcast sets off on a quest in a unique interconnected grid world where you slide to move and solve puzzles. It's a fun looking game that's also a brain teaser, deserving a B for effort. Hidden Through Time is basically a game of hide and seek with objects scattered throughout the wonderful history of our world, using cryptic hints to discover every secret as you explore the colorful hand-drawn levels. It's simply fun and straight to the point, and loved by all, landing it straight at A. Roai Break Pocket Edition is an arcade first-person shooter that's a little weird to explain because I haven't played it because it's iOS only, but it's apparently a great port of a wonderful game, so it's going in the S tier, don't ask me why. Roai is a simplistic simulator where you just have to create a path of descent for a newly forming river, sculpt the very terrain to suit the river flow, and watch it eventually meet the bigger body of water. Like I said, it's very simplistic, but that doesn't stop people from playing it. And it looks fun, deep and fun. So I'm giving it a B. The Kingdom Rush series is just the king of tower defense titles, so the latest game Alliance should not be any different. But I still can't play it because it's iOS exclusive. But from here, I would just give it a B. What if you are dead, but killing people is a 9-to-5 job? That's the premise of Death and Taxes, and it's one hell of a hook. Your job is to decide who gets to live or die with choices that affect the world around you, so you can choose to keep chaos away or forward plots to destroy the world. It's a really fun yet simple game that deserves an A-spot. August brought us El Paso, an iOS exclusive title, a part of a fun-looking title where you have to escape a reality-shifting motel, battle werewolves, fallen angels and other monsters as you try to defeat your ex, Dracula, before she destroys the world, all in slow-mo Max Payne style. Yet, the premise is amazing, the graphics interesting, and the gameplay fun-looking, landing it rightfully so at spot A. Nepa Saga is another original indie title that looks okay in a sense. You play as Eka, a humble blacksmith turned legendary warrior that embarks on an unforgettable journey to save your land from the awakening of evil. An interesting premise, but overall presentation is seriously lacking, so I have to place it at C, or at least trying to be original. Harvest Moon came knocking on the mobile front with Home Sweet Home. It is the biggest port of the franchise on mobile so far, and bringing all the magic that comes with the small town life farming simulator series. I don't think I need to explain why Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home deserves an A-spot. Super Dark Deception is a retro 2D reimagining of the hit horror title where you have to escape a haunted mansion while avoiding traps and unkillable enemies. It's a beloved game with a maximum acceptance among its community, so an S tier is in accordance. Now on to September, bringing Midnight Girl, a casual 2D point-and-click adventure where you play as a card burglar who teams up with a fellow thief to perform a series of diamond heists. Midnight Girl is a cool 90s inspired game, at least deserving of a C tier. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm is a part of the amazing 2008 fighting game, bringing all the iconic character, gorgeous graphics and epic action from the well-known anime series. All these seem incredible on paper if the port didn't have a lot of optimization issues that the company adamantly refuses to fix. So, C tier it goes. Balatro is a mix of card game like solitaire and poker that lets you twist the rules in a way never seen before, and mix that with roguelike mechanics and you have a deadly addictive concoction capable of skyrocketing it all the way to the top of the game award, as well as our S tier for Balatro. October is next, bringing Carrion, the pixel-style reverse horror platformer where you play as a grotesque tentacled entity that tries to escape an underground fortress. An interesting premise and a fun game that I enjoyed quite a lot, earning it an A on the tier list. Another Warbits game graces our list today, and you guessed it, it's a bullet storm 1 vs all roguelike. Yeah, real original. But it works, I guess, and those type of games are really fun. If you're into that type of games, I'm giving it an A just for you. Children of Morta, an action RPG where you play as the Bergsons, an extraordinary Nordic family that has been tasked with protecting their dimension from invaders. It dives deep into themes of family bonding and whatnot. It's a great game, great enough to be at the A tier. November came packing with a lot of interesting games, one of which being Shadow Rival Action War, a generic stickman game with all the whatnots added to it. It's pretty cool, it has hack and slash mechanics, a parry mechanic that caught my interest and beautiful graphics, but not really something good enough to put it higher onto this list. So it's definitely going to be one for the C tier. Abandoned Planet is a pixel-style point-and-click adventure game that is quite amazing. It follows an astronaut that crash lands after being sucked in by a wormhole into a seemingly abandoned planet, and she has to do everything she can to escape by solving puzzles as to why she is here in the first place. It's quite amazing, so it's definitely going to be in the B tier for effort. Total War Empire is next. This time you are in the 18th century struggling for economic dominance. It's a total war game, so it's obviously going to be good. But something tells me that the optimization might be where it will slack a bit, especially since it wasn't available for my mid-range phone. So to play it safe, I'm still going to drop it at the B tier. After Inc., produced by the same guy that made Plague Inc., is another simulator where this time around you are trying to save the remnants of humanity, helping them rebuild their civilization lost due to a virus outbreak that turns the living into the undead. I actually enjoyed this. It's amazing, it's fun, and although there are a lot of things that could be added to make it more enjoyable, it definitely was staying at that A tier spot. The Monument Valley series needs very little introduction. The puzzle adventure series are known to be incredible. So Monument Valley 3, where you play as a young apprentice lightkeeper that discovers that the world's light fading and the waters are rising, so he embarks on the quest for a new power source. It looks beautiful and well done, so I'm just gonna place it at the S tier. AiroHeart is an action pixel RPG where you play as a young warrior who's on a quest to stop his brother from unleashing an evil that will destroy the world. It has a lot of Zelda type vibe to it, and it's one that I think has a lot of promise, so much so that it's deserving of the A tier. December is a bit dry because there are not a lot of games to talk about, but the few of them that are worth notable is Blasphemous, the disappointing port of the popular hardcore Metroidvania that had a lack of awareness and optimization of the touch controls. So instead of an S tier, it's definitely not worth it. It's going to a B tier. Resident Evil also graced our App Store, albeit for selected devices. It's still an impressive game to play on a smartphone, and for that reason, it's going on the S tier. Okay, and with that, we are done with the tier list. This is the biggest project I've ever done. The sheer size of it had me struggling for days, and I would love it if you guys could comment down your thoughts. It lets me know that you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. I wish you a happy new year. It's your host P-Doc. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out though.